Most people are paying $20 a month for an AI tool and using it like a search box. Ask a question, get an answer, copy paste it somewhere else, repeat. That's not a true assistant, it's just a very expensive Google. But here's what I figured out over the last year of testing this kind of stuff. No single AI tool is going to be your perfect personal assistant. Not ChatGPT, not Claude, not even Perplexity by itself. But 3 completely free tools combined create something better than any single tool can provide. An assistant that remembers everything about you, researches your problems, and then helps you think through the best solution. For $0. So here's the system. First, let me explain why most people's AI tools don't work. Every AI tool right now has a fatal flaw. ChatGPT and Claude are brilliant thinkers, but sometimes they can be a bit too agreeable. Sure, you can give them context and they will help you reach a solution, but you're not going to get the most depth of thought. Now, Perplexity is by far one of the best tools I've ever used for research. Its main problem is that it doesn't dive too deeply. It's going to find answers fast and it's going to cite everything. But if you need a tool that's actually going to help you think through your decisions and the different papers, you're going to run into a problem with your research. NotebookLM is amazing at tracking your sources, staying on top of your notes, and a bunch of other things, but its main issue comes from the fact that it's not very good at finding new sources. And most people love to deal with this by switching between all 3 and constantly context jumping between one tool to the next. But in my opinion, that's not productivity. That's just another fancy word for busy work. So the highest impact lever I've found these 3 tools is to stop thinking of them separately and start functioning with them as an entire team. Here's exactly how these 3 tools are going to connect. NotebookLM is your memory. It holds everything you know, your papers, your notes, your sources, literally anything you put into it. It's never going to forget and it's never going to make things up. All of its answers are going to be based on the information you've actually provided. Perplexity is going to function as your researcher. Whenever you need something new that you can add to NotebookLM, you're going to utilize Perplexity to get a large breadth of sources. Claude is going to be your thinker. It takes what you already know, plus what you recently learned, and turns it into something actionable. This could be writing, synthesizing, or focusing on the next step for your plan. Memory feeds the researcher feeds the thinker, and the thinker closes the loop by bringing everything back into the memory. That's how this entire team is going to function cohesively. And the more you use it, the smarter the system gets. It's going to build an active memory over how you're interacting. Let me show you how to make each role as effective as possible. Role number 1 is NotebookLM as your memory. Most people treat NotebookLM as just a study tool. You upload your notes, you put in the PDF file, and then you turn it into a digital podcast for yourself. But that is honestly barely scratching the surface. So I'm going to share exactly how I personally use this in my system. I have notebooks organized for my different areas of life. One for content, one for school, one for work, and one for working out. So when I upload a file, I'm not just adding it to a large library. I'm feeding my specific agent's memory. And here's the part that most people miss. NotebookLM's custom instruction field now supports 10,000 characters. That's 20 times what it was before. An instruction field is the way you specifically prompt an AI. Before, it used to only be 500 characters of instruction, but now it's been beefed up to 10,000. That's going to allow you a lot more opportunity to get very specific with how you want the agent to function, what tone to use, how to structure answers, and what exactly you're looking for. I've configured my own to act like a research analyst. It gives me the key takeaway first, then provides the backing of that takeaway with supported evidence from the sources I've actually provided. And because NotebookLM pulls from my sources, it's not going to have any AI hallucination where it just makes things up. Every response is going to include those inline citations from exactly where NotebookLM took those answers from. On a free tier, you get 100 notebooks with 50 sources each. That's 5,000 total sources across your entire ecosystem completely for free. And if you want to learn more about prompting, I'm going to include a link for a downloadable prompt template that I've put together for you. It's my top 50 AI prompts I use every single day. But let's move on. Here's the limitation that defines why you need this next tool. NotebookLM only knows what you give it. It's very poor when it comes to finding new types of sources. Memory alone isn't enough. You need someone to go out there, scour the internet for you, and bring back the things you can actually learn. Role number 2 is going to be Perplexity as your researcher, and truthfully, I think this is where this system levels up. Whenever I need information that I don't currently have inside of my NotebookLM, Perplexity is my go-to tool. It's completely replaced my entire need for Google. I can find current data, recent news, and even competitive analysis. And Perplexity doesn't just give me a a list of 10 different blue links. It reads the sources itself, synthesizes the key information, and cites everything into its own article. Now, there's a good chance you already knew this about Perplexity, but here's the workflow that most people never even think about. After Perplexity gives me what I need, I don't just use the answer and move on. I feed that information right back into the NotebookLM memory, copy the research, paste it into a document, and then bring that document to NotebookLM. Now, my memory has successfully grown, and the next time I need to reference that research, it's going to be there permanently. NotebookLM is going to remember it and be able to cite it just as effectively as anything I've ever provided it. That's truly the compounding effect that no one thinks about when they're building out their own AI systems. Every research session is going to benefit your own NotebookLM memory. It's going to make it smarter. On the free tier, Perplexity gives you unlimited basic searches per day and around 5 pro searches. That covers most people's daily needs by itself, but if you're interested in signing up for the pro, feel free to go ahead and do that. And if you are a student with an EDU email, you are able to get a free month of pro with Perplexity. But research and memory still aren't enough, because knowing things and finding things doesn't actually get work done. That's where Claude is going to come in. Claude is the final role, and it's going to function as the thinker. This is exactly where output actually happens. Claude isn't a search engine. It's not a memory bank. It's the part of the system that actually thinks with you and functions with your daily life. I take whatever NotebookLM has stored in its memory, along with any research relevant to the topic I'm considering right now that I gathered from Perplexity, and bring that all to Claude. And let's say I'm researching something along the lines of my YouTube channel. I won't just say, write me out the greatest content strategy calendar you can. I'm gonna give Claude the full picture. My notes, my research, my situation, my channel's analytics. I'm gonna paint the entire picture for Claude so it can be the most effective with the information and the thinking it's going to do alongside me. I also love to ask Claude to find the angles I'm not thinking about. I love it when the AI that's thinking with me is able to function as devil's advocate rather than being super agreeable. Now, let's say you need to make a decision about something super specific. You can go to NotebookLM, write out a pros and cons list. Then you can go to Perplexity and do research about the 2 decisions you're considering. From there, you can bring both of those things into Claude, have it function as someone who's going to be devil's advocate against whatever decision you're leaning towards. This is going to give you a new perspective on making decisions. And I know you're probably considering maybe using ChatGPT if that's what you're comfortable with, but here's what makes Claude different from ChatGPT. In my own testing, I found Claude is a lot better at pushing back. If your prompt is too vague, it tends to ask for clarifying questions before just guessing or assuming. If your logic has a hole, it's going to point it out before agreeing with you. And that's what you want from a thinker. You want something that's going to push back, not a yes man. On the free tier, Claude is going to give you access to Sonnet 4.5. You can get around 30 to 100 messages per day, depending on how much other people are actively using Claude. If you're going to upgrade for Pro on any of these tools that I've shared with you today, I would highly recommend getting Claude Pro. I think it's the best bang for your buck, and you can use it a lot more frequently. Now, here's exactly what's going to close the loop. I want to focus on how this is going to compound for you. When Claude finishes working, whether that be the decision, the plan, the script, or like I said, the content calendar, I take all that and I save it. It goes immediately back into NotebookLM. The output from today's thinking becomes essential for tomorrow's memory. So next week, when I start a project, my personal assistant isn't gonna have to think about how I like to make decisions. It's gonna look at past trends, and we're going to be more efficient because of that. Most people are asking the question of what's the best AI tool, but that's completely the wrong question. The best AI tool does not exist because no tool can research, hold memory, and think as effectively as a team of 3. But they don't function as 3 apps. They function as one personal assistant, completely for free. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It truly helps the channel out. Thanks for watching.